Hello and welcome back to another easy online German grammar lesson. Today we're going to talk about the nouns which are declined according to the N-Declension, and this is a very small group of nouns. They are always masculine and they are also called weak nouns. And the special thing about these nouns is that the genitive, dative and accusative forms in the singular get an additional N at the end, and the plural forms also get an additional N at the end. And I have one example word here, and this is der Junge. So der Junge is nominative, the boy, and the genitive is des Jungen. Dative is dem Jungen and the accusative is den Jungen. So these are the singular forms. You can see that the nominative doesn't have the N, but all the other cases have the additional N at the end. So concerning the genitive, dative and accusative case, you can only recognize the case if you look at the defined articles. So the defined articles make you recognize the case. Now let's get to the singular declension with the undefined article. Ein Junge is the nominative, eines Jungen is the genitive, einem Jungen dative, and the accusative is einen Jungen. So the ending of the undefined article makes you recognize the case again. The exception is, of course, the nominative form. And let's get to the declension in the plural. Die Jungen is the nominative form, der Jungen the genitive form, and den Jungen is dative, and die Jungen is accusative. So here the noun has an additional N in every case, also in the nominative, and only the article makes you recognize the case. And we also have the plural declension with the undefined article, but in German there are no plural forms of undefined articles, so we only have Jungen. In the nominative, genitive, dative and accusative. And this was just one example. Now how can you recognize the nouns which are declined according to the N-Declension? These nouns are always masculine. And firstly we have the determination by meanings. For example, if we have nationalities, of course the nouns have to be masculine nouns, then these nouns are declined according to the N-Declension. For example, der Deutsche, the German. So der Deutsche would be nominative, and if we look at the declension in the singular with defined articles, der Deutsche, genitive des Deutschen, dative dem Deutschen, and accusative den Deutschen. Then we can have persons like der Junge, and we can also have other persons, for example, the customer, der Kunde. So we would have der Kunde in the nominative and des Kunden in the genitive, dem Kunden in the dative, and den Kunden in the accusative. There are also some animals which are declined according to the N-Declension. For example, der Löwe, the lion. So this noun also gets an additional N at the end. Then there's also the determination by endings. For example, some nouns get an additional N and other nouns get an additional EN. So this depends on the ending. There are nouns which get an additional EN, and these nouns end either in AD, AND, ANT, AT, ENT, or in IST, and all these nouns which have this ending get an additional EN at the end. For example, the word Kamerad, which is the German word for comrade, Kamerad. So it's der Kamerad, des Kameraden, dem Kameraden, and den Kameraden. So this was only the declension in the singular with a defined article. Then we have foreign nouns ending in AND. For example, der Doktorand. The doctoral candidate also receives an additional EN at the end, or the noun Kandidat, which ends in AT. The candidate receives an additional EN at the end, and this is the same with the noun Student, which ends in ENT. So this is the same as student, but when we say Student, we always mean someone who is studying at university, not at school, because a student at school would be Schüler, or if we have a female person, Schülerin. The last group of nouns which receives an additional EN at the end is the group of nouns which end in IST. For example, der Kommunist, the communist. And we can also have foreign nouns ending in oge. For example, der Biologe, the biologist. This noun receives an additional N. There are also some nouns which are exceptions. For example, der Herr. This means Mr. or also Sir. And in the singular, it gets an additional N. So we have der Herr, des Herrn, dem Herrn, and den Herrn in the singular. But we have Herren in the plural. So in the plural, this noun gets an additional EN. So N in the singular and EN in the plural. We can also have nouns which describe professions. For example, der Bauer, the farmer. And this noun also receives an additional N. For example, der Bauer, des Bauern, dem Bauern, and den Bauern. A very special exception is the word Herz, heart, das Herz. It's a neuter noun, but despite of that, it is declined according to the N-Declension. In the genitive we have des Herzens, in the dative dem Herzen, and in the accusative we don't have an ending. So, das Herz, des Herzens, dem Herzen, and das Herz. And this was all about the N-Declension. It's only a small group of nouns, they are always masculine, and you can of course repeat the examples I gave here. If you click the link in the description below the video, then it leads you to an HTML site of my website, and you can see all the words I mentioned here and also other examples. So I hope that this lesson was helpful for you. Have a nice week, and also have a look at the other videos, especially the pronunciation videos, which might help you to improve your German pronunciation. So enjoy the free videos here, and for today I say bye bye, or as we say in German, tschüss.